Hello, greetings. So this is going to be a Gorean topic. And the topic for today's discussion are the sort of semi-role playing that I see a lot of Gorean online interactions ending up as. Now, I have to say that this kind of semi-role playing makes me very uneasy. Not because I have anything against role playing. I mean, I'm a role player myself. I like to role play Dungeons and Dragons and Vampire the Masquerade. But when I roleplay, I make a completely different character, and I play that character. I don't sort of put role-playing interactions into my own life. Now, what do I call these semi-role-playing? Well, let me take a very good example. I was discussing with Dagatiros, a male slave, and suddenly he says, goes and fetches a glass of bosk milk and kneels at mistress' feet. And I said, okay, because here's the point. I feel that that kind of semi-role playing is where things have a tendency to go wrong. This is where many Goreans seem to lose perspective of what is real life and what is role play. Now, this young man in question, or was this one of the Katira? I have two slaves I often come to. One is a Kachira, and the other is a Kachiras. Actually, and I both do this. I've forgotten which one of it that was that did this exact thing, but it doesn't matter. The point is, it makes me very uneasy because very often we then have eventually this situation. Player A believes everything's a game when I see people serving fantasy drinks. They're thinking this is a role playing game, so they act as it's a role playing game. They have a character and it means exactly as much as a role playing game do to them. It can be fun, it can be enlightening, it can definitely have an impact because just like a movie or a book can have an impact on their lives, so can role playing. But it is, at the end of the day, entertainment. And then you have one person that takes this deadly seriously, and yeah, I also feel that our lifestyle have a tendency to be minimalized and looked down at because of this attitude, because of this mixing of role playing and reality. Because then we all seems like just overactive fans. And the person that I was discussing with then said that no, they were doing this for training. How is it training? Because they will never be serving post milk. Because here's the thing, bosks are basically the Gore world's version of cows, though they're definitely not cows, and they're part of the fiction. And I do realize that it is a need in many people to do more than philosophize about the Gore world and to be basically more active. Sleeves are acting up. And that's fine. Absolutely fine. However, the problem is when you mix it together like that. Because if there's box milk, that means we are on Gore, but we are still talking as Anya, and well, I won't say the person's name because that would be rude to mention somebody in a video without their consent, but yeah, we are still talking as the people we are, and yet we are somehow pretending to be on Gore, and I don't like that. Now, some people have defended this kind of activity to say, but it's normal when you're chatting with people to sort of emote actions. Yeah, but it's just much less degree. It's like I often visit my mother. She lives 5 hours away by train. So when I go down there, I stay for a week. And when I'm visiting her, me and my companion, we communicate via the internet and our phones and so on. And very often when we log on and see one another, we will say, oh, give you a big kiss. But that's something else. That's emoting out an action. It's basically saying, I would really want to give you a kiss. So I'm just imagine that I give you a kiss. And I know that there is a sliding degree here. And at some point, just emoting an action becomes role playing. Because let me show you the difference. This is normal interaction on the internet. So, hi honey, gives you a big kiss. The whoever saying, hi honey, I go out to the counter, spread some butter on toast, and put jam and peanut butter on it, and bring you that and a big cup of tea. Now we're more into the role playing part. And when we bring in elements of fantasy into that as well, as in fantasy places, locations, animals, drinks, and such, then we are even more stepping into the realm of role playing. Now, is this always negative? No, it's not. Like I said, for a lot of people, they don't have any Gorean near them, and sort of these kinds of half role plays are the only way they can act Gorean. Like I said, there's a very big difference between being Gorean and having that philosophy internalized and living it every day and acting Gorean, doing Gorean things. And I'll probably make a video about that difference eventually. And they feel that the only way they can behave like it, especially this is common for a lot of people who identify as slaves, they have no way in their life to be slaves. So they need to act that out. And if everybody involved sort of agree on the parameters for this game, just like in a regular role-playing game, everybody agree on the parameters, then there's nothing wrong with it, it's fine. Problem is when you start to act this way with others who have never agreed to do so, like it's the most natural thing in the world. And also, because that makes me and other people very uneasy, and it also makes Goreans seems like just players. Because that's the problem is when they don't realize that this behavior is role playing. It could be then basically a talking in character where you are yourself, but you also role play, and that's fine. I mean, if you enjoy this activity, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. But don't engage it with people who have not agreed to be a part of it, and don't just do it randomly with people because it's role playing. It's like I said, I role play Vampire the Masquerade, Dungeons and Dragons, and so on. I don't just suddenly start acting as one of my characters or even as myself within that world to someone. Now, I mean, I can say it jokingly, like to a friend of mine that also plays Mage Ascension. I could say, "Oh, this bar is probably the technocracy." But that's something else. It's very clearly a joke that we both can understand because we both play the game. I don't suddenly start to act like it, like saying, "Oh, I can't write now. Technocracy might be watching what I'm writing." That's something else. So, or I don't suddenly start to saying, "Hi, you want to go and slay a dragon with me?" Yeah, because this is role playing. And I strongly feel that role-playing should only include those that have agreed to do so. It becomes a little bit like a live. Basically, most roleplay, you have role-playing in both formats. You can roleplay over the internet, by chat, various programs, all sorts of things. Then you have tabletop where people sit around the table and roleplay. And live, it's where you dress up and run around. Yeah. And we were gonna have a vampire masquerade live. And we were planning on running, and some of those that were arranging were planning to run around the city with this. And I said, no, I'm not into that. Because this will be involving people who see it. You can get scared and confused over seeing people who act out what is completely natural and logical within the context of the game, but will be pretty bizarre for everybody else. And it's a little bit the same, don't involve people into role playing who haven't agreed to it. Now, I mean, problem, and I've made several of these gore and role playing videos. I mean, the problem isn't that somebody role plays, because that's fun. I mean, I've been role playing Go for some time too. I enjoy that. I enjoy the setting. It's very cheesy but very fun. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you cannot separate properly between role playing and real life. And as such, these semi role plays where you are yourself but you what shall we say, emote out actions in great details to those around you, that becomes an issue when people in a regular forum, when people discuss, says, walks in and kneels silently at the feet of the free. No, you're not kneeling at the feet of the free, you are typing at your computer. And but fine, you can see that as she's just emoting submission. Oh, fine. And then the next sentence is looks out the window at the 3 moons of gore before nodding in agreement to what the free is saying. There are 3 moons out the window, warriors. You see, there's a very big difference between emoting out action. Like I might say when I'm discussing with somebody and I'm getting extremely frustrated, I might say bangs my head on the keyboard because it's a way to demonstrate demonstrate frustration. Or if I'm talking with somebody who has, let's say, lost a pet, I might say hugs from Norway, meaning an emotional support. Or like I said, I can tell my hubby when we're on the internet together, I might say, oh, kisses. That's emoting it. However, when it becomes very elaborate, and especially when it includes things that are not there, like 3 moons, milk of fantasy animals, and so on, it stops being emoting an action and it becomes role playing. And that semi role play is where problems begin. Because, like I said, A, people that see that is all as role players, and B, it very much creates there's a potential to create a lot of problems because when somebody sees something as role playing, right, straight up role playing, just for fun, it doesn't mean anything other than entertainment, and others see it as themselves, you have issues. Like I had this situation where I saw 2 people discussing, where they were both women, and one had made a character for a role playing game that was this big bad hornsman master that run around with a big axe. and the other one had made little slavelet. And eventually these two characters met, and over the course of half a year of playing, the slave had of course become the property of the free man, and they were in love with one another, and all was fine and good until the player of the slave managed to figure out that the player of the master were in fact a man, that were in fact a woman. And then she went on and accused this other player of lying, of being the worst person in the world, while the person who was just playing a role playing game wasn't Gorean, and even just I played a character. It's obvious we are these people. And the player of the slave went on. She played with my emotions, and this was the person I belong to. No, it is not the person you belong to. Your character. The character that lives on another planet. It's not you. So, yeah, that's my issue. There's nothing wrong whatsoever with role playing. Oh, and we have people in here, so I'm just gonna cut this video short now. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with role playing, but keep it as actual role playing. You mix it together, and it will only create problems, and that therefore I'm very I have a problem with that half role playing thing. I mean, if you're in a role playing game situation, of course, look at the 3 moons of gore all you want and dance around and serve bosk milk and whatever fantasy foods you desire. When you are a real living person on Earth typing on your computer and discussing with Goreans online, be that person. And if you want to emote an action every now and then, not a problem. But keep it within the realms of reality and don't make it an elaborate thing, because then it's roleplay. So yeah, that was my video. Have a great day. Blessed be.